had fucking 15,000 words written at by the end of it.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And that's just on the Metro. Jesus, this is gonna be a fucking book.
You didn't do a single pod?
All right.
You didn't do a single pod? No?
No, I did.
Oh, okay.
I did it on like the power plays for the Metro. I'll send you the link or the outline because it's fuck. I put a lot of research in that bitch. Fucking learned what the hell like points per 60, shots per 60. I mean, it's easy enough to understand, but like I fucking dove deep into those fucking stupid stats. All right. Intro. And then on it like a bonnet.
Like a Scotch bonnet?
Scotch bonnet. Yeah. Tap here to discuss this file with others. Okay. Oh yeah, I did turn my Bluetooth off. Dude, I got the Keeping Carlson Almanac, and there's like they have like an hour on every single team. It's crazy, but they took off a week. They took off a week's worth of work, and they got this Kickstarter where they had like 200 people chip in $15 each to get this thing going. That's like fucking $2,000 right there, dude.
That's sweet.
Fuck. They've been doing it for like 5 years now, so we'll get there.
Yeah, no offense. If I'm taking a week off of work, I'm not going to do nothing but podcasts.
Well, if they're paying me for $1,000 plus, I can take another.
Oh, if I'm getting paid for it, don't get me wrong. Then I'm down. But
all right, intro time. It's gonna be a long-winded one. I'm gonna like do the whole. All right, so this is where everybody is getting drafted right now. Deal. Right now it's like Vasilevsky, Rinne, Hellebuck, Holtby, Bobrovsky, Rask, Quick, Frederik Andersen, John Gibson, Martin Jones, Carey Price, Marc-Andre Fleury, Ben Bishop, Matt Murray, Devin Dubnyk, Cam Talbot.
Carey Price, no thanks.
Yeah. So the first 5 rounds, that ends with
Cam Talbot, no thanks. Maybe Cam Talbot will be.
Yeah, maybe.
It's just like you really have no fucking idea.
The tale of 2 seasons. Yeah, so I'll just get into that. Fuck it. All right, everybody, welcome to 5-Hole Fantasy Hockey Radio. I'm your host, TJ Branson. Joined with me tonight is Zach Vogel.
Hey.
So today we're going to dive into our rankings for fantasy goalies and try and give some projections going into this year's upcoming fantasy season. Last year, the top-ranked goalies to finish out the year in Yahoo were Pekka Rinne, Connor Hellebuck, Andrei Vasilevsky, Marc-Andre Fleury, and Antti Raanta. There was like the second tier then with John Gibson, Sergei Bobrovsky, Jonathan Quick, Carter Hutton, kind of. I mean, he only played 32 games, but then you got Dubnyk, Luongo, and Rask filling out the next batch. So as far as last year's average draft position from goalies, the first goalies to go, this is according to fantasypros.com. Holtby went number 1. Then you got Price. Then you got Murray. Then you got Bobbs and Talbot. Then, it just kind of it teeters on like that. So this is just some insight to see where drafts are going to wind up at the end of next year and where they eventually wind up in the standings. As Yahoo Fantasy Drafts have already opened, we can kind of see what the average draft position looks like already for some of these goalies. The top 10 are Andrei Vasilevsky. He's going in the like mid first round to late first round in your 12 teamers. He's going at like 11.8. Next up is Rinne at 18, Hellebuck at 22, Holtby at 24, Bobrovsky at 25. Then you got Rask at 33, Quick at 34, Anderson at 36. That's Frederik Andersen. In case you were
wondering. You're telling me it's not Craig Anderson going?
In case you were a little
third round. Oh, all right, fair enough.
All right, I was just making sure I was like actually counting up to 10. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 8. And then you got John Gibson going close to 40 and Martin Jones going at 44. A lot of goalies going in the first 5 rounds right now in Yahoo. And so that's just kind of what the world is thinking right now, where everybody's drafting everybody. So we're going to get into what we think and share our goalie rankings. So I know in last week's in the last episode we did together was the defenseman episode. We said we were going to go through every team, talk about their power play. And I was trying to think of like how we could do that in a reasonable amount of time. I mean, if we even took 5 minutes on each team, the episode would be over 2 hours long and we'd be rushing through it. So what we're going to do is just rank the goalies and then we'll have a complete separate episode for the power plays. Yeah, I wrote this like fucking 3 weeks ago. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. Of course, we're going to start at number 10. Who do you got?
I have Marc-Andre Fleury.
So do I. Very cool. Starting off
it's actually really surprising that that we agree so much. Like, and I'm not used to it. It's making me very uncomfortable. It's getting me a little itchy, to be honest with you.
I'm getting a little nervous going into next year's draft. I'm pretty sure you're going to snake the guy I'm after.
But when it comes down to it, like you said, I mean, hey, maybe you're in a good boat because one thing I'm pretty decent at is these goalie rankings. So maybe it's good that you're coming on board with me.
Okay.
Couldn't be the worst thing.
I'm getting better.
So I mean, when it comes down to it, who's the best player on Vegas? And no doubt, it's Marc-Andre Fleury. The Pens are obviously all in on Matt Murray, which saw their netminder for 13 seasons, which is Fleury, get sent off to the Knights. And what a move it was. So, like, it was a great move by Vegas. I applaud them for doing it. I didn't see it coming. Did I think that Marc-Andre Fleury was going to be number 10 on my list this year, last year? No.
No shot.
No, I didn't think so. So it was like, not only did he have a great year and was a huge sleeper pick last year, not only did he probably not get drafted in most leagues, but he was out there on the waiver wire. So if you did draft him, you drafted him late. If you did pick him up, you got him for free. Yeah. So he was a huge pickup last year. On top of the fact that he had arguably his best season of his entire career. His win percentage was at 63%, which was just behind his career best of 65%. And that equaled out to a 29-13 record with 4 shutouts. What we would have liked to have seen, obviously, is Fleury be a lot healthier. He was out for a good bulk of that season.
Yeah, man. How many goalies did we see out of the Vegas organization? Like
what it was like? It was quite a few. But I mean, the two main ones were Subban and Legacy, which really kind of held the ship down. Luckily for them, they had a really good defense in front of them, and they were scoring just a good amount of goals a game. So I mean, they had a good team all around. So luckily, while Fleury was out, they were able to keep the ship upright. While he was out there, though, he was definitely golden with a .927 save percentage and a .224 goal against average, which was his career best. So while he was right behind his win percentage for career best, he was at his career best with save percentage and goal against average. Vegas themselves had the 8th best penalty kill. Sorry, almost said power play. But they had the 8th best penalty kill. And Fleury had an .898 save percentage while on that penalty kill, which is right around league average. And I'll tell you what, he even got a little bit of a Vezina nod last year. Obviously, he didn't win it, but his name was thrown out there, which really says a lot. Had he been healthier and played more, I feel like he would have gotten a much more serious consideration for that Vezina, but definitely. It just didn't work out that way. And I mean, I think the person that did get the Vezina, which we'll be talking about, was the deserved winner.
Yeah, I think the reason I didn't have him higher too is because his ability to remain healthy it's not there. Like I said, we saw like 4 or 5 Vegas goalies last year. Oscar Dansk was one of them. Subban and Legacy, like you said. I think there might have been one more, but I just can't remember right now. So that just kind of like inflates how crazy awesome their season as a team was. I mean, they made the fucking Stanley Cup final on the back of so many backup goaltenders. But when we get back to Fleury, maybe the year was a fluke, but maybe it was a team so up in the air that nobody had a clue how to play them. Maybe everybody played out of their minds. But I think if Fleury's healthy next year, I can see him making probably around 50 to 55 starts, somewhere in the area of 35 wins, and a save percentage somewhere around 920. I fucking hate trying to project goalies, man. We know who Fleury is now, so that's one reason we can do this. At least for the Knights too. Like, we know he's been a stud his whole career, and when he was out there, I mean, even the backup goalies, they carried the Knights. Like, nobody saw them making the fucking Stanley Cup playoffs or the Stanley Cup final even.
But so, it done happen.
It happened, man. So that you got to give Fleury some credit. You got to give him, at 33 years old, you got to give him consideration in your top 10, without a doubt.
And I'll tell you what, unlike last year where he most likely went undrafted in the league that you were in, he certainly went undrafted in the league that we were in.
Yeah, that was a 16-teamer too.
That shit ain't going to happen anymore.
No.
He's worth picking up. Now, I'm not saying you're picking him up in the first even 7 or 8 rounds, but I mean, once you're getting down to like round 9 or 10, if you pick up a Marc-Andre Fleury, I'm not totally against it.
Well, he is going in the 4th round right now, but I think with Yahoo, the data I pulled from, they have like, I mean, you know, Yahoo, the categories there, and just their kind of
in a category league, I'll tell you what, it's different. Yeah. I was more talking about a points league. In a category league, yes, you're definitely taking him higher because chances are 5 of your categories are all goalie oriented, whether it's saves, wins, percentage, everything like that. Shutouts, he's definitely good for a shutout every now and then. Like, it is going to happen, and he is going to make crazy saves. So, I mean, in a category league, totally different.
Yeah.
You're going to draft him. You're going to draft him, yeah, much more like 4 or 5.
But I guess in the points only leagues, you can, I mean, we even start thinking about top tier goalies like round 3, round 4.
Yeah, and he's not in my top tier. He for me at least, he's in that second echelon, which I'm not thinking about until after round 8. And that's just me personally. Right. It might be different for you because I don't know what kind of league you guys are in. You know what I mean? So it really all depends on who your commissioner is and what your league values as far as categories, scoring, points, everything like that. Yeah. So it's really all skewed. So take everything we say with a grain of salt.
Or a shot of penicillin. Number 9.
That's just me.
Number 9, I got Jonathan Quick. I'm pretty sure he made your honorable mention, so we already.
Yeah, I had him in the honorable mentions. I had him right outside the top 10. It's not like I was really far off from you. I had him at number 11. But go ahead, take Quickie.
So last year he played 64 games. He went 33, 28, and 3 with 5 shutouts, a 921, and a 2.4 goals allowed. Quick had a career save percentage. Quick has a career save percentage of 916. And when he plays like he did this year, his stock definitely goes up in my book. With as iffy as I am about the Kings going into next year, I still have faith in Jonathan Quick. It could be a good thing that you have Ilya Kovalchuk there, you know, to like spur the offense a little bit, and the decor is still intact. And Quick, if anything, could be seeing some assistance from the offense. I mean, you got extra scorers in Kovalchuk and a healthy Jeff Carter and stuff like that. You could, I mean, still put up the same amount of goals allowed and just win more games based on the fact that your offense is scoring more goals. Peter Budaj returns as the backup, and Jeff Campbell's still there, if need be. But I think Quick's workload of 64 games played is about what we're going to expect it going into next year, barring any injury. We know he bucks his groin up every once in a while. 60 to 65 games is pretty reasonable. The Kings let up the least amount of goals last year, and Quick played over 75% of their games. They're still a good team, well-rounded defense led by Drew Doughty. Quick, to me, is one of the most undervalued fantasy netminders out there. His numbers are always solid. He seems to be considered average in terms of where he's drafted. So if you can get him later based on that fact, then by all means do so. And he is someone I'm targeting, especially in the sense of a value pick. In Yahoo leagues, he was drafted at almost 36th overall, so like a late third round pick. But as many know, the ADP in Yahoo and other formats are super different. So on average, last year, he was drafted around 57. So you do see an uptick in his ADP this year. Keep an eye out for him depending on how your leagues value goalies. And when you start to see some of the big names come off the board, then keep Jonathan Quick right up your sleeve because he could be somebody worth some value there.
One thing that you will have to watch out for is the whole fact that Quick is one of the few players, I would say, in the NHL that everybody knows. Yeah. If I say to my wife, Jonathan Quick, she knows who Jonathan Quick is. And Karina don't know shit about hockey. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got those household names.
If you say the name Jonathan Quick to a football fan, they're going to know who Jonathan Quick is. Now, they're not going to know his stats from last year. They're not going to know how long he's played and his career save percentage of .921 and all that jazz. But, like, people know who he is. So, I mean, some people I feel like are going to stretch for Jonathan Quick and maybe take him earlier than he's projected to go. But one thing I will say is the Kings kill it on the penalty kill.
Do they?
I know I talk about Drew Doughty and all that jazz and I don't have Jonathan Quick in my top 10. I have him at number 11. But the Kings have the number one penalty kill, dude, at 85%.
Do you need me to get you a spitter for all that blood in your mouth?
No, it's just really, if anything, I just need like a pepper grinder to go with all the salt. And I mean, I know. So what I'm just pretty much saying that I got to give credit where credit is due.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can't just ignore the fact that the Kings have the best penalty kill. You know what I mean? So it is what it is.
They won whatever award it is for. I think whatever award that is. You know what I mean? The one for like least goals against as a team. Mm-hmm. What the hell do they call that?
Oh, I forget what that is called.
But he got that award. So anyway, who do you got at number 9?
At number 9, I have Devan Dubnyk.
Boom, boom, Dubnyk. Scooby Dubnyk.
Scooby Dubnyk. That's right. You did have that name last year.
He was doing pretty good too.
I don't know about you guys out there in podcast land, but like we like to change our names like every single week. Every single week we will have a new name. We don't stick with one name every year. Like it will constantly change. And we try to go with a player name, but being as clever and dirty as possible. So, like, Scooby Dubnyk is actually one of the much more PG ones.
Oh, yeah. We've had, Going in Draisaitl.
Yeah.
That's just the one I
Going in Draisaitl.
Give Me Some Head, Man was one of yours. Chucks are always dirty. Fucking Chuck.
Get a Chuck. I'm going to draft Devan Dubnyk.
I can't wait. I hope in the draft I'm right before Zach because I'm gonna steal all his players again. It's gonna be awesome.
Chuck doesn't know who I'm gonna. Is Chuck actually gonna? I hope Chuck actually comes up with his own list this year.
Taylor Hall, number 1.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Taylor Hall is gonna go a lot higher than he rightfully should this year. Taylor Hall is a great player, but he is gonna go a lot higher. Okay. So Devan Dubnyk. I'm going to start off by saying that Doobie is one of my favorite things, a BFG. He really is. He is a BFG, dude. He's 6'6", 218 pounds. But one little fact that I actually told you this last time that we talked.
Yeah, I was just going to bring this up. I was like,
no goal
because you were Chuck.
No goalie over 6'4" has ever won the cup. It's crazy to me. So I mean, you would think that I would want this big fucking dude that's like 6'6", just taking up the net. Like literally, when Dubnyk is on his knees, his head is at the crossbar. Like it's crazy.
All you got to do is inhale, and your fucking chest cavity just takes up the entire cage.
But yeah, so I mean, at the very least, it's something to think about. So I mean, there are those guys like Ben Bishop, who's fucking huge, Devan Dubnyk, who's fucking huge, Sergei Bobrovsky, who is like a lot bigger than you rightfully would expect him to be. You know what I mean? You look at his picture and he looks like a child.
Yeah, he looks lanky.
but he's tall as shit. So yeah, it's just something to think about. As far as Dubnyk goes, his .918 save percentage and .252 goal against average, while not flashy, are better than his career averages, along with the fact that he's often, pretty much always in the Vezina consideration almost every single year. He never seems to win it, but he always seems to be in a conversation. Oddly enough, though, he's never even seen over 1,900 shots, which I think is kind of crazy for a goalie. I don't know if you agree, but he's never actually seen over 1,900 shots in the season. And last season was no different at only 1,769, where he only stopped 1,624 of them. As for his win-loss goes, 35 wins, 16 losses, pretty decent. I'm fine with that. Like, he was out there for 59 games. He had a solid, healthy year last year. And for most of his career, he's always been healthy. It's not often that he's really out. But Al Montoya as the backup is a decent backup. He's not horrible. So usually when they take that step in the other direction to Montoya, he's a solid number 2 to step in there.
They do have Montoya, or is it Alex Stalock?
Oh shit, Montoya's on fucking I gotta totally redo that. Montoya's in fucking
I don't think Montoya's anywhere this year.
Why did I think he was on the fucking...
So Al Montoya, he was originally the Canadiens, and then I think he got signed by Edmonton, and now Edmonton has like this random backup whose name I can't pronounce.
They do have Alex Stalock. You're right. I fucked that up.
And then they have Andrew Hammond too.
I don't give a fuck about Andrew Hammond.
No, nobody does.
No, you're right. They do have Alex Stalock. I'm just gonna start back over from the win-loss part. And then totally take that other part out, and then add whatever else you want to say.
Gotcha.
Okay, now moving on to his win-loss. At 59 games played, 35 wins, 16 losses, I'm totally fine with that. He's on a really good team, a very defensively sound team with some really good offensive players. Now, we've talked about before how there's not going to be any 80-goal players on the Wild, but if everybody's chipping in, I don't care. Devan Dubnyk is going to be a solid player to pick up. Now, he's not going to be, once again, in that first tier of goalies, but he is going to be in that second tier of goalies. Another thing, he's always healthy. Not always, but like for the most part, he's out there for a lot of games. 2 years ago, he played 63 games. 3 years ago, 66 games. He's out there for a good amount of games. So, I mean, you can pretty much expect him to be plus minus around 60 games per year. I love that because I want my goalies out there playing. If you're going to be on my team, I want you to be on the fucking ice.
Yeah, if you're drafted in the top 10, you got to be pretty much a workhorse at that.
So, I mean, Where did you have Dubnyk? I forget what you said before.
I had Dubnyk at 11.
Okay, so we actually flip flopped our 9s and 11s.
Yeah.
You had Quick at 9. I had him at 11. I had Dubnyk at 9. You had him at 11. Okay. I mean, I'm fine with that. I honestly would have been fine with having Quick at number 9, but it just not really how it rolled.
Right.
Just because I'm an asshole and people love to tell me about it just because I'm not big on the Kings.
So number 8, do we agree?
They're going to regress. Okay, number 8, go ahead, take it away. You said we agree on this one, Johnny Gibbs?
Johnny Gibson, yeah, okay. So we definitely do agree. Last year's stats, he played 60 games. He had a 31, 18, and 7 record with 4 shutouts, a 926 save percentage, and a 2.43 goals allowed. Continuing on the theme of undervalued, going back to Jonathan Quick, Gibson put up some really spectacular spatulas. Gibson put up some really spectacular numbers. He got paid for it. So he's just entering his prime years. He has been a 920 plus goalie for 3 years running. Actually put up a career high save percentage in most games played this year. Actually put up a career high save percentage this year in his most games played in a single season so far. So with 60 games this year, a stud like Ryan Miller backing you up, it's fair to assume he might see a bit more games played, maybe like 60, 65. That's where I'm going to put him next year. You got guys like Kessler, who's even questionable for this season. Corey Perry, who is apparently falling off a cliff in rapid decline. Jesus, fuck, that sucks. And you got Ryan Getzlav, who's like 45 years old or something. Gibson's another guy I consider in that tier too, closer to the front end of it, actually. He's one of the more viable goalies to have as your number 1 on your fantasy team. I think Gibson's probably going to finish the year higher than number 8 when I redo my list at the end of the year. But for right now, I'm going to play it a little conservative and slap him right down at number 8.
You know one thing I love about looking at John Gibson's stats? So you said he had
his picture
a 926 save percentage,
right?
Which was, if you take out his very first year where he was 3-0 because he only played 3 games in the end of 954, I'm gonna take that away. So he had pretty much his career best at 926. You know, he also saw over 400 more shots in a season than he ever had before.
Some goalies just play better when they see more pucks, when they see more games and stuff like that.
I think that is a huge stat that, like, I don't know, it really means something to me. Now, don't get me wrong, he did play more games than he ever has before, but it also tells me that Anaheim is really starting to trust him. On top of the fact that Anaheim's penalty kill, you know how I feel about penalty kills when it comes to goalies. It's a big deal for me. If you can kill penalties and you're not getting put into penalty kill situations, I'm a fan. I don't want a team full of bruisers where you're going to put my goalie that I drafted into compromising situations where they have to stop a ton of fucking pucks. The Ducks were 6. They had the 6th best PK last year at 82.3%. It's not too shabby. They're not like the Flyers, you know what I mean, who are 135 out of like 32.
Weren't they dead last or something?
No, but they're fucking close to it, my man.
So if I'm reading this correctly, John Gibson had a 917 shorthanded save percentage.
Yeah, which is super fucking awesome.
Yeah. Jesus.
So real quick. So what we're talking about here, folks, is advanced stats. Do you kind of want to go over advanced stats real quick? I know you love talking about the numbers and shit like that.
Oh, yeah. Big fan of numbers here. All right. So obviously you got shorthanded, power play, and even strength down there. But if we want to get into advanced, I don't know if this is it's not going to work for a goalie, really. The Corsi, the Fenwick, the PDO doesn't really make sense for a goalie.
Yeah, I mean, as far as goalies go, I'm personally a big fan of even strength versus shorthanded. Yeah. I don't really care about them on the power play too much. I mean, they should not be giving up a lot of goals on the power play, but
it should be 1,000.
I mean, it's some goalies are going to let in a shorthanded like when they are on the power play sometimes, but
yeah, Gibson let in 3.
3 of them. He let in fucking 3 of them last year. He had a 939 save percentage while his team was on the power play. But yeah, I fucking love that 917 save percentage shorthanded. That is fucking huge, dude.
Yeah.
That is really huge.
The last thing you want when you see like your team go or any of your players go on the power play is fucking goal against, especially if you're in plus minus leagues, especially if it's against your goalie. Like that fucking blows. I guess plus minus wouldn't count for the power play. My bad.
But yeah, so I mean, I'll give you that about what you said. I actually kind of agree with where you went earlier, as maybe at the end of the year, John Gibson might be higher on my list than number 8, but that's where we have him right now. So any Ducks fans out there, tell us why.
All right. So
well,
I think
at least the Ducks fans I know, they're very vocal.
All the fans are vocal, man. Especially
tell me about it.
Islanders fans are the worst.
And Drew Doughty fans.
So for our number 7 and number 6, we are flip-flopped. So let's say you take your number 6, I'll take my number 6.
Oh, so you have Pekka Rinne at number 6?
I do.
Fair enough. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Sure. Pekka Rinne, 35 years old. Let's just start off there. Last year's stats, 59 games played, 42, 13, and 4. And he won. Oh, look at that. There's a typo. He won the Vagina Trophy.
The Vagina Trophy.
Yeah, he won the Vagina. He had 8 shutouts, which was league leading.
Patrick Kane won that last year.
Oh, man, he just took it.
All right, we're gonna have to edit that out.
Maybe not. Rinne moves down the list in comparison to where he is drafted, in my opinion. Like we were talking before, he is the second goalie to go off the board. And here's why, is because Saros, and I know you're going to agree with, we talked about this before, Saros is looking more and more like the guy. It's not going to be this year, but I think Nashville is going to start giving Saros more starts, especially later in the season when Rinne seems to hit a wall. He always does in the playoffs. We've seen it 2 years running now. His postseason stats are just not good. His regular season stats are fucking godlike, and that's what we want in our fantasy goalies. But you got to admit that postseason performance will affect how many games he gets, and it affects your fantasy season in that way. Is maybe Nashville, they see Saros, okay, well, fucking Rinne, he can't get it done in the postseason, so we got to get Saros some more reps. We got to get him adjusted to this kind of lifestyle because he is going to be your starter at one point. So Rinne not being the guy that Nashville can lean on in the postseason, and Saros is like seemingly untested. He did see a few games last year. So for those reasons, I have Rinne further down my list than you would expect. He's still a stud. He's likely going to see closer to 55 starts than 60 this year, easing Saros into that spot. And because of that, Rinne is my number 6 goalie. He can still be a number 1 goalie for your team. Don't get me wrong. I just think that the workload is going to weigh on him going into his age 36 year, and that Nashville as a whole, having the mindset that Saros is going to be the guy eventually, it's going to be in the back of his head. And like for goalies are so fickle like that. If you get into their head, they suffer. And maybe that being in the back of his head could fucking ruin his season. I don't know what to expect out of Rinne this year. I'm not willing to pay the first or second round price for a guy that I'm not 100% sold on. So I have him ranked at number 6, and I'd be willing to take a chance on him like round 5 or 6. No higher.
I agree with everything you said. You had him at number 6. I had him at number 7. One thing I do know is that the Predators are going to be fucking good.
Yeah.
One thing I do know is the Predators have the number 1 fucking defense in the whole league. Another thing that I do know is that I know what happens when Pekka Rinne struggles.
They're like
the team,
48 percentages.
The team, the city, the front office, everybody is ready to kick him out the fucking door, which I almost feel bad for Pekka Rinne for that whole thing. He's a great goalie. He really is. He is a great goalie, but they are so ready to move on to Juuse Saros.
Yeah.
Like that, their front office fucking loves Saros. And it just seems like, hell, 2 years ago, they were thinking about just shipping Rinne out and having Saros play the entire playoffs. Didn't work out that way.
No.
But like they were serious. But they were seriously contemplating it. On top of the fact that if you look at Saros's numbers, while there may not be as large of a pie to look at, he doesn't have the same amount of games played and stuff like that, but he has very comparable numbers. So if Saros is the future, I mean, you got to ask yourself how much Rinne is left in Nashville. Maybe a year. I mean, he is certainly draftable, like you said, in the 5th or 6th round, maybe in the 4th if you want to stretch. And he is capable of being your number one goalie 100%. But what happens if he struggles? What happens if they just decide to move on? It's very feasible. Don't act like it's not, people.
I mean, this is his last year of his contract, so that's definitely worth mentioning. Saros could very well see a good amount more games because maybe they don't re-sign him. Maybe they try and trade him.
Exactly. If they're not sold on Rinne and they trade him, dude, you could draft an awesome goalie that plays with the best defense in the league, and you might end up with an awesome goalie that plays on a shit-ass defense for another team.
Yeah, you could wind up going to fucking Islanders.
Just keep it in mind. That's all I'm saying. Just keep it in mind. That's why I have the reigning fucking Vezina Trophy winner at number 7.
Rinne, he's going to play for the Carolina Hurricanes at the end of next year.
If he would play for the Carolina Hurricanes, then the Hurricanes would take a huge fucking step forward.
Yeah.
They would take a huge fucking step forward. In all honesty, they would be like, they would not like they'd be a contender to win the cup, but they would, I would owe you whatever in the world we bet, because chances are they would make the fucking playoffs.
I mean, it's not hard to step forward from Scott Darling and Peter Mrazek, so.
All right.
I mean,
so
it's not really saying too much.
We'll move on here. You just went over your number 6. I'll go over my number 6, like you just said, Tuukka Rask. I mean, shit. While we're talking about Vezina Trophy winners, let's just go ahead and talk about Tuukka Rask. Previous Vezina Trophy winner. His name is also often thrown around, like pretty much all of these goalies that we're going to be talking about today. They're always in the Vezina Trophy talk. While his Vezina win was 5 years ago, Rask is on one of the teams with the best PKs, a great defense in general, and has what at least you and I agree is the best first line in hockey.
Yeah, that's a real potent offense there.
With an admirable 917 save percentage and a 236 goal against average, he certainly has room for improvement. Don't get me wrong. And where I'd like to see that improvement is, number 1, shutouts, which he only had 3 last year. Now he's coming off a season where the season before that he had 8 fucking shutouts. Oh, yeah. Man. I would love my goalie to have 8 shutouts. Those points are awesome. Those categories are awesome. Getting 8 shutouts, it's fucking sweet. Another place where I would really like to see his improvement is his RBS, his really bad starts, which let's be honest, he tends.
I love that stat.
Oh, it's
really bad start.
Yeah, well, he has quite a few really bad starts. It's not one of his best qualities. It's really just not. Going along with that, though, their backup up in Boston now is Halak. Now Halak spent you make that sound.
Yeah, but, I mean, if the Islanders are going to walk away from you, that raises a couple of red flags to me.
But I don't want Halak as my starting goalie.
No, all right.
Is he a good backup? Fuck yeah. Is he better than Mike Condon? Yeah. Is he better than Al Montoya? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
We're just think of any random backup goalie. Chances are Yaroslav Halak is probably going to be better than most of them.
Harry Sateri.
I'll take Yaroslav Halak.
Yeah. Wasn't that the guy that, like, anytime he was playing, we would just line up against him?
Yeah.
I think that was it.
I want anybody who's playing on the team against him.
Yeah.
So my whole thing with the whole talking about Halak is with Rask having these really bad starts and that kind of being his MO, they may be more willing to kind of move to Halak quicker. So kind of watch out for that. Hopefully that doesn't happen because honestly, I don't like the Bruins, but I do like Tuukka Rask. I think he's a really good goalie. And I mean, he's certainly helped me out in the past. Give me 1 second here.
Rask always seems to
sorry, go ahead.
So Rask always seems to have like a really slow start, and then he turns it on later during the second half. He's got 3 straight years of a sub 20, of a sub 920, and a career average of 922. So there's always the chance of him, quote unquote, bouncing back. I say that in quotes because he's still got a really good save percentage. So what I mean to say is that he can bounce back to his career standard with huge upside in the upper 920s and even touching 930 and 13-14. He's shown he's beyond elite. Boston is huge, and they're making a heavy push these last couple of years. I think it's safe to say that he and every Bruin are going to be playing fucking lights out this year. Rask is a good guy. I would say he is, without a doubt, pretty good, and he's definitely a good guy to have as your number one going into the year. And there's room for you to get him. Yahoo leagues are drafting him in the 3rd round, but your points leagues, you can aim for him a couple rounds later. As you see, like, those top guys go off, it always happens, like the fucking levee breaks and all those second-tier goalies just start going and going and going. There's a whole round of it.
And another thing I'll kind of throw out there with Rask is look for him to be much better on, number 1, his own power play, and number 2, shorthanded. They already had the 4th best power play last year at 83.2%, which is super solid. His actual best save percentage is 924 on the even strength. Now, wait for this one, though. While he was on the power play, his save percentage was 865.
Yeah, that's way down from his career average.
That is hard to believe. Expect that to be a fluke. I'll say that. Just go ahead. Expect that to be a fluke.
7 short-handed goals.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, that is not going to happen again. He is not going to let up 7 goals while his team is on the power play. His shorthanded numbers are a little more normal. His career average while his team is shorthanded is 877. And he actually did better than that this year. He was at an 894, which is much more closer to league average than a player like John Gibson, who we were talking about earlier. So there are pluses and minuses to Tuukka Rask. Don't get me wrong. But the fact that he's on the Bruins, and I've said this many times, and I'll say it again, I draft goalies just as much for the goalie that they are as I do for the team in front of them. And he has Patrice Bergeron and Pasta in front of him and fucking Brad Marchand and Torrey Krug. And you can just keep on going on and on.
Yeah, studs, dude.
So he has all these players in front of him. What?
I didn't even think about this till now, but John Gibson had a better save percentage shorthanded than most goalies had overall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking better than
I'll-
Matt Murray, better than
I'll
goddamn
also-
Carey Price.
So kind of like we just said, don't expect Tuukka Rask to have that bad of a save percentage while his team was on the power play. I don't really know if you should be totally expecting John Gibson to continue to have a 917.
I think it was a 917 PK save percentage.
Yeah, maybe don't expect that again this year, because that is out of this fucking world.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
All right. I think we're going to go back into no, we're not going to agree. So my number 5, you have at number 3, and my number 3, you have at number 5.
So we're flip-flopping. See, this is such a weird fucking episode, TJ. I don't like this. We're agreeing too much, and when we don't agree, we're just like flip-flopped.
Yeah, it's like tit for tat here.
Are you trying to say our number 4 is the same?
I think so.
What the fuck, dude? What the fuck?
So let's talk about the guy we're more excited about. You go ahead and take Braden Holtby. I will take the guy I have at number 3, which we won't reveal just yet. Ooh, suspense.
There's a little suspense.
It's Sergei Bobrovsky.
We're in the top 5. we're in the top 5. If you guys don't know the top 5 goalies, then you haven't been paying attention. Because I mean, personally, I think the top 5 goalies are pretty set in stone.
Right.
Okay. So like we were saying, I think it's weird that we're jumping to number 3. We haven't done our number 4. But okay, fair enough.
Let's throw number 4 in there real quick.
No, screw it.
Right.
We already started. We've gone too far. I've already said Braden Holtby's name once. So now we must talk about him.
Okay.
Now, we talked about Holtby multiple times in other episodes as him having a less than average year, which is completely true. Posting a 907 save percentage, where his career average is a 919, and a 299 goals against average, where his career is at a 241. It's easy to say he had a down year. I mean, there's
year of his career.
There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Oddly enough, they just happened to win the fucking cup here this year, which, I mean, hey, I don't really know how that's fucking possible, how he had such a bad year and they win the cup, but it's because their offense was just firing on all fucking cylinders. And
I wish our 907 goalie would have won us a cup.
Yeah, tell me about it. That ain't going to happen. Not with the goalie that's going to be starting on day 1 this year. Sorry, Brian Elliott, but you're not my fucking top 10.
Nope.
He's
definitely top 31, though.
Yeah. In fact, though, you can get the fuck out.
What are you doing here?
You get the fuck out.
He's only got 1 more year, man. Carter Hart, he's coming.
Okay, so kind of like I was just saying with Rask, though. Don't really expect these numbers to stay. I think that this was a fluke year. I really do. I think that maybe a little part of it was kind of like what you were saying earlier, with a little bit of the Grubauer idea. So Grubauer was right behind him, and he's Braden fucking Holtby, and there were people calling for Braden Holtby's head.
Yeah.
Saying we want like Grubauer to be our everyday goalie, and Braden Holtby can get the hell out, and he's Braden fucking Holtby. What is wrong with you people? Like, their fans were super fucking fickle. It is not going to happen again. He did regress last year, but the team in front of him is definitely going to cover up his mistakes just like they did last year.
Oh, yeah.
And without Grubauer behind him, now Phoenix Copley, who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you, Phoenix Copley? Where did you come from? And why do you have such a stupid fucking name? Is it just me?
You're going to love this. I think it's Phoenix Copley.
Fair enough. I'm usually pretty good at these names. The only thing
it's a name that it doesn't sound the way it's pronounced Copley. or it looks like Copley.
It does look like Copley, phonetically.
Yeah.
So
how weird is it that phonetically is not spelled phonetically?
No shit, right?
We'll start a new podcast.
Craziness. What, we're gonna start a podcast all about like shit? What etymology?
Onomatopoeia.
Isn't that etymology, like the origin of words and shit like that? Okay, we're really getting off tangent. We're really getting off tangent here. Okay,
I shouldn't have smoked those 3 weeds.
So to just move on from that, like I was saying with the whole Phoenix Copley thing, Holtby is going to be relied upon a lot more this year. The days of the whole Grubauer Band-Aid, they're fucking over, people. They are fucking over. So expect him to shoot back up to his normal save percentage, go back down to his normal goals allowed. That's at least what I'm thinking. Now, could I be wrong? Of course I could. But he's still Braden Holtby. It's still the Washington Capitals. They are keeping that team together again. Don't know how they're doing it, but like, they're going to start the year off with another awesome fucking team. They are going to be firing on all cylinders. And I hope that the team is going to be just as hungry as they were last year, even though they just won the cup, that they're going to want to come back and prove that they can do it again.
I think we're probably going to see closer to 65 games this year. Just like pretty much bouncing right off of what you said about Phoenix Copley.
I think you could definitely see another 10 games out of Holtby. 100%. You could definitely see another 10 games.
Yeah, you don't have the same crutches you did last year. So let's see where I can start. You covered a lot of it.
Damn straight I did.
I mean, he's still a number 1 goalie for your team. And
100%.
He's still in both our top 5s, but he fell from his number 1 average draft position last year because of that. The fact that he had the worst season of his career. He was the number 1 goalie to go last year, and I can't see spending a first-round pick on a guy that puts up a .907 and almost 3 goals allowed. The Capitals are good enough to win games no matter who the fuck you put in net. Me or you could be their goalies, and they'd still be, contenders for the President's Trophy.
False. I suck at goalie, if you don't recall.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, you're right.
But also, you guys didn't fucking help this situation.
Oh, we didn't help, and those guys that were against us, they were probably the best hockey players in the world. They were really fast. I couldn't catch them.
You didn't even try, TJ. There was literally like 20 breakaways. I just started tripping people for them not to score goals for me. That's what I did to get them to stop scoring goals.
Going fucking Dominic Hasek on them.
I fucking tripped them. But yeah,
all right.
Okay, moving on.
I know some people use the first-round pick, and he puts up these types of numbers. With that being said, he's only got 1 other season in his 7 career where he was below a 920. And this year, and 1 down year this year isn't going to turn me off of Braden Holtby, but you still have to count it against him. I think he is that 920 guy that we know and love, and that we're talking about him coming back and stuff like that. But again, goalies are hard to predict. You look at Carey Price, he was top 3 last year and just plain isn't this year. Not even close. Holtby is definitely going to bounce back. Washington is always an offensive powerhouse, and that can only mean good things for Holtby's record down the road. So he could be seeing more games this year. He's going to be back to that 920 save percentage type of guy. I got him at number 5 just because, I got reasons for everybody above him, at least.
The big difference, though, between Holtby and Carey Price, and I appreciate you making that reference, is the teams in front of them. Carey Price does not have the team in front of him like Braden Holtby does. He does not have the Band-Aid of the fact that his team is going to score 3 fucking goals a game. He just doesn't.
You need Shea Weber back in a big way.
Yeah, he doesn't have the team in front of him. So Carey Price is just nowhere even close to that conversation. Holtby is going to bounce back. Take it or leave it. That's the way it is. Okay, moving on to the Bobs.
Sergei Bobrovsky. He's one of the most consistent
I miss
goalies
you.
out there. Yeah,
I
dude.
miss you.
I was looking back at the stats. He didn't really play well until he left.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah, JVR.
But
Hopefully
he's back. But he's back.
So we'll see. All right, last year's stats. He played 65 games, went 37, 22, and 6. He had 5 shutouts and pretty much played exactly to his career averages. He had a 921 in relation to his 920 career and a 242 goals allowed in reference to his 244. He's one of the most consistent goalies out there. You can definitely count on him for over 60 starts. Really good save percentage, really good goals allowed. He's only 1 year removed from his Vagina trophy, and Bob's is definitely somebody you can draft high and be confident about it. Not much more to say. Like, it's not even worth thinking about. Bob's a good goalie. You got the fucking Jones and Werenski right in front of him. The defense is pretty solid. I trust Columbus to win games. They're always kind of like competing for that President's Trophy. So that's all the more reason that I trust Bobrovsky to be a good netminder. Mic drop.
I mean, I agree with you. I like Bobrovsky too. Like you said, he's only a year removed from that Vezina Vezina campaign, and he backed it up with another solid year last year.
It's the Vagina trophy.
The only big difference that I really see from those 2 years, well, not the only big difference, but like it really kind of jumps out at you, is the fact that a year ago he had a 41-17 record. This past year, he was a 37-22. Like, that means something to me. On top of the fact that his save percentage and goals against average were the best of his career last year, he was only letting in 2.06 goals against last year compared to 2.42 this year. That's a big fucking difference. Now, his save percentage wasn't too much different. He was a solid 931 last year, 921 this year. So, I mean, he's only a 0.01 difference as far as that goes. But really, it all comes down to, where is Columbus going to go this year? That's what it comes for me. So you and I, we both like their defense. They have Seth Jones. They have Zach Werenski. I like the defense, at least the first pairing. They have Panarin for now. That first line really clicks, does well. But where are they going to go next? What happens if they lose? What happens if they lose Panarin? What happens if their penalty kill goes down the shitter? This last year, they were top 10. They were number 9 this past year with a 76.2% for the penalty kill. That's super decent. If you're on the top 10, I'm a fan. But if Seth Jones doesn't back up his year last year, then I don't know if I really see the same thing going well for Bobrovsky. So, I mean, that's the one thing I'm worried about for him. Columbus just always seems like they underachieve. And let's be honest, it's just true.
Yeah. I mean, now all we have to talk about is Columbus not being able to make it out of the first round. I mean, we had that Ovi monologue that was going for a few years that they can't make it out of the second. Now Columbus is unable to make it out of the first. So, I mean, I'll give it to you on that. 2 years ago, he was putting up like Hellebuck
crazy numbers.
Fucking
he was putting up crazy numbers. Yeah.
Rene numbers. And I mean, maybe that's something we can expect from those guys looking forward, just kind of like breaking the ice there a little bit. Maybe they come back down to earth too.
I don't trust the team around Bobrovsky as much as I trust other teams in front of other goalies.
Yeah, that's definitely fair to say.
Okay, there we go.
Number 4, Frederik Andersen. He is 28 and will be 29 by the start of the season. He played 66 games, which is a fucking lot. He went 38, 21, and 5. He had 5 shutouts with a 9.18 and a 2.81. So those stats aren't too hot, but he plays a fuck ton of games. And I mean, you're bound to get a bunch of wins because Toronto just got better this year.
Sees a ton of fucking shots too. Now, how many shots he saw last year?
Fuck, I'm not even gonna look. I'm gonna go with 1950, somewhere around there.
2,200.
Jesus fuck.
2,211. He stopped 2029.
So I mean, you're definitely gonna get the saves out of the guy.
Holy shit! 2,200 fucking shots.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna put fucking Curtis McElhinney in net? No. So Frederik Andersen's gonna get like 60 to 60. I don't know, even maybe 70. Probably not, because they're seeing now what, wearing out your goalie can do to you. But I mean, for the same reasons the Holtby, you have to look at one of the most intimidating offenses in front of you, and a workhorse playing. They do have one of the most intimidating offenses. And he played pretty much career average. So this is what we can expect from Andersen going forward. Toronto is the biggest reason to be so bullish on Freddie. I expect them to be one of the better teams out of the East. You have a goalie, and having their goalie is good for you. So do it. Easy number one goalie. And he is a bit flaky here and there, but most goalies are. So if I can get Frederik Andersen, I'm going to be super stoked. If he's available like round 3 or 4, I'm going to be all over it, but I don't think he will be at that time. The case with these goalies has so much to do with the team around him, and me and you both agree on that. And like we said, most of the hockey world are bullish on Toronto heading into the year, so it's going to be hard to get him where I want to get him in the 3rd round.
Yeah, I mean, you know how I feel about the Maple Leafs. Yep. I'm a big fan. I do also like the fact that the Leafs were tied for number 10 on best penalty kill at 81.4% for the kill. They were tied with the Rangers and Vegas. It was just all a 3-way tie at number 10. But the addition of John Tavares, you can't say enough about it. Like, it's never going to be a bad thing.
And the chances are he's going to play on the penalty kill too. He's always been an all situations type guy, really good 2-way player too. That's going to be even better for their penalty kill stats. So
the way I see it is Frederik Andersen may have been another one of those guys that were somewhat under the radar last year. And I wouldn't say he was super under the radar, but he wasn't drafted particularly high. He was definitely drafted. He wasn't like a Fleury that went undrafted, but that's not going to happen anymore. The Maple Leafs are thrust into contention with this whole John Tavares thing, and eyes are on them in Canada. Between them and fucking Winnipeg, the country of Canada is looking at these two teams saying, all right, who's taking the mantle?
Yeah, bring that fucking cup.
And it's going to come down to either Gary Busey or Austin Matthews.
Or Conor McGregor. All right.
So there we agreed again. No, I mean, I think we covered it really well. The things that I love about Frederik Andersen are how many shots he sees, the fact that he still keeps it up with the save percentage, and the team in front of him.
Fair enough.
All they need to do now is go out and get themselves a fucking defenseman.
They don't have money. No more money. No más dinero.
They need to trade somebody and get a defenseman. Bye, Mitch Marner. You got to go.
Hello, Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
Oh my God, I'd fucking Jesus. I would just jack off in a corner.
Who do you got in number 2?
At number 2.
I think we agree
We agree. So this is the first time where we actually agree on 2 and 1. Usually we're always flip-flop, but this one, well, it was just super fucking obvious. So at number 2, I got Connor Hellebuyck. Goddamn Winnipeg, dude. And I like Connor Hellebuyck, and I like some of the Winnipeg players, but there's just really one particular player.
So real quick, I'm gonna butt in here. You remember our bet about the Jets and the
Lightning? Yeah, who's gonna make it farther?
So I just got my latest issue of the Hockey News, and that's who they predict going to the Stanley Cup. Is both those two teams.
Wouldn't that? I'm telling you,
gonna be dope.
If they go to the Stanley Cup, we have to go to a game.
At least go to a bar that's showing the game.
Fair enough. I'm sure I can work that out.
Yeah, I can afford that a lot better.
But I want to go to a fucking Stanley Cup game, dude.
Oh yeah.
I do want to do that sometime in my lifetime. Like,
hopefully for the Flyers.
Okay, so moving on to Connor Hellebuyck. Once again, just like a lot of these other goalies, I can only imagine that everybody got Hellebuyck as a steal last year. I know I did. Again, those days are over. Hellebuyck started 64 games last year with a 44-11 record. Wow. 44-11. Wow.
Yeah, that's like that Bobrovsky Vezina winning trophy year.
Easily the best of his career. Then to top it off with an elite .924 save percentage and a .236 goal against average, which is good, which is decent. I can live with it. But also the team in front of him is just scoring fucking goals all over the place. Look for Hellebuyck to have another great year net mining for an offense on the up and up, and that has the 9th rated PK in the league. He's going to go off the board in the first few rounds. It's just going to happen. I would expect him to maybe even go off the board probably in the 2nd or 3rd round. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Chances are I'm not going to have Hellebuyck on my team this year like I did last year. I got lucky last year. I did. I drafted him low, and I got a really high return. But I'm not in the market for a goalie in round 2 or 3. That's just me. In a categories league, I would consider it, but I'm really shooting for the same guy that everybody else is, and that's who we're going to have at number 1. What do you think about Connor Hellebuyck?
So, all right, I got the Jets picked as my team for the West. They're going to be the best team in the West next year. They got a great offense, a great defense. You got Bufflin, Trouba, Morrissey, Armia. I don't know if Armia is on there. I'll look it up and edit that out later. But all you have to know are the studs up front. You got Wheeler, Scheifele, Line, Ehlers, other people that I can't think of right now. And the Jets are in their window right now. You got Hellebuyck showing how great he can be. And I know it's his first season above 920, but he didn't have to fight for time. He didn't have someone breathing down his neck. And I think this is what we can expect. I do kind of back myself into a corner a bit here by harping on these last candidates, that it's hard to fall into, like, you just get infatuated with that, with the inflated season that somebody had. And then you just put them at number 1, number 2, something like that. And that's exactly what I'm doing. But I think it's repeatable. I think Connor Hellebuyck can do it. And I'm genuinely targeting him as a top few round guy, regardless of format. When you have somebody of his stature, or not even of his, I guess I can rephrase it when you have somebody who goaltends for a team like the Jets, then you should be targeting him too, I think, at least. And going into number 1, what's up?
Joel Armia?
No, did he get traded?
He's not on here. He had to have gone somewhere. I mean, I can look up where he went, but
does he even play defense, or is that just somebody's name that I thought of?
Joel Armia, I'm pretty sure is a left winger.
Neat.
Let's see here. Give me a second.
Who am I thinking of then? Tyler Myers? Did I say Tyler Myers? Josh Morrissey, Dustin Bufflin, Jacob Trouba.
I do like Tyler Myers though. Oh, did I say left winger? He's a right winger.
Whoopsies. Definitely going to edit that out.
I knew that he wasn't. Oh no, it does say that. So 17-18, it has him on Winnipeg, but it doesn't say anything for this next year. But when I'm looking on Daily Faceoff, it doesn't fucking have him on here.
I think maybe he signed somewhere else.
Right winger. Yeah, but wouldn't they say that on?
Go to Pittsburgh.
Anywhere?
Go to Pittsburgh's line combinations. They have
Oh,
Dominic.
he's on the Canadians. Sorry, he's on the Canadians.
Okay.
They didn't get any better.
No.
They did not get any better.
Are you allowed to have a fifth line in hockey? Because he's a fifth liner.
I don't know. I picked up Joel Armia a couple of times, but there was a bunch of their players that, I mean, think about how many times you didn't say Mathieu Perreault, and you used to love picking his ass up.
Yeah, he was
fucking Adam Lowry. I always like picking up Kyle Connor.
Yeah, I held him all year, and then I traded him to Chuck for Alex Ovechkin
and Brian Little. Brian Little's a solid fucking player.
Good late round pick. All right, real quick, are you still on Daily Faceoff?
Yes.
Go to Pittsburgh's and riddle me this.
Okay, I'm riddling.
So they have Dominic Simone on the power play, but they don't have Dominic Simone playing anywhere else. So he doesn't play on the first line, the second line, the third line, or the fourth line, but somehow plays on the power play. Are they just stupid? Is that what's happening here?
Yeah, he's not gonna play on that second power play unit.
But nobody cares about that second.
Hagelin is. That's gonna be Carl Hagelin.
I would assume. But
it's 100% that's gonna be Carl fucking Hagelin.
I did all of my research last night on the Penguins. They scored like 56 power play goals, and the second unit scored 14 of them. Jake Guentzel scored 7 of those 14. So
Jake Guentzel's a decent fucking player.
Dude, I would be willing to bet that those 7 goals probably came from when he was on the top unit, when Hornquist was out or Malcolm was out or whoever. He probably got all 7 of them from the first unit. That second power play unit is garbage.
All I know is that Carl Hagelin is going to be on that second power play unit. I would almost put fucking money on it.
I think he will be too. You got Brian Rust even too. I don't know. All right, did you?
But Brian Rust is not like a power play guy.
Whatever. Nobody on that second.
Brian Rust is more like they. I will say they use him for shorthanded. They love him on the fucking penalty kill. You know what? I wish they put that on fucking Daily Faceoff.
They have
penalty kill.
You got to get the left wing lock app, man. It's $3 for a whole year. They show you that. They show you like. Just way more than Daily Faceoff. Way more. It's awesome. It's $3. Connor Hellebuyck.
Okay, folks.
What do you got on him? Did you already go over him?
Yeah, I talked about him first, my man.
Okay. So number 1, there should be no suspense left over. It is Andrei Vasilevskiy.
What?
Andrei Vasilevskiy. Who do you have? Peter Mrazek?
Dude, no, I thought we had Roberto Luongo at number 1.
No.
But we both like Florida.
He had a really good end of the season.
Yeah, fuck you, Luongo. You need to go too. Okay, yeah, totally. Vasilevskiy, number 1, like there is no fucking doubt about it. He is 100% the number 1 goalie. Last year I had him at number 2. He moved up 1 spot for me. So it's not out of the blue by any means. He plays on Tampa Bay.
Big time.
So he's a solid Vezina candidate. He was really kind of like the front runner this year. I thought he was going to take it throughout most of the year. So did you. But in front of him is one of the best teams in the whole fucking NHL. I'd like to see a better penalty kill, however. They're only converting 76% of their penalty kills. I'd like to see that bumped up more, closer to 80 or even above, because I want to see Tampa Bay in that top 10. Still at 65 games played last year, and Louis Domingue backing you up, or Louis Domingue, sorry, backing him up. Look for Vasilevskiy to get the lion's share of the starts, again, with a similar percentage as last year, with 44 wins and 17 losses. again, his averages were right on par with his career. He posted a 920 save percentage with a career average of 917. Goals against average, 262. Career, 261. Mind you, having 8 shutouts, this all adds up to a great year.
Yeah, that was a league-leading tie, 8 shutouts.
So not only did he see the most shots of his career, make the most saves of his career, he also had a career best save percentage and a really solid goals against average for his career average. So what does that tell me? If you're seeing more shots than you ever had before and you're still killing it on save percentage, things are only looking up for you, brother. On top of the fact that you have a great fucking defense in front of you and a great fucking offense in front of you, they're going to cover up the few mistakes that you do actually make.
See, I got him pegged for 60 games this year, and it's because, all right, so in the first 3 months of the year, up to December 31st, Vasilevsky put up a 939 save percentage. In the next 3 months, plus the 3 games he played in April, he put up 903. So that's just like 2 different seasons right there. He had a really, really fucking bad March with an 883 save percentage, in which he had 5 sub 900 showings and 1 sub 800 showing. And that was against the fucking Senators, nonetheless. So maybe they're going to give him a little break as he started to peter off a little bit in the ass end of the year. But, I mean, they're in win now mode, you know, and it's hard to pick your backup on any given night when you have somebody like Andrei Vasilevsky at your fingertips. So I'm thinking somewhere in the range of 60 games played, you know, upside, obviously, for 65, with this year's 65 kind of being the ceiling. The wins are going to be over 40. That's no problem there. You got, like, the best offense in the league and, you know, a wildly above average defense in front of you, too. So Vasilevsky, number 1.
But you also kind of saw that coming yourself, TJ. Yeah. So TJ had Vasilevsky last year. He was lucky enough to get him. I tried to get him, but TJ picked him first. Or no, you traded for Vaz, didn't you?
I think I did, yeah.
You traded for Vaz. So the long and the short of it is TJ had Vasilevsky. Towards the end of the year, when it was clear and obvious that Tampa Bay was going to make the playoffs, and was just kicking ass, doing well, TJ said himself, I want to move Vasilevsky, because at the end of the year, they're going to start giving him time off. If Tampa Bay has the same, it's kind of like the whole Evgeny Malkin syndrome. If they know that they're going to make the playoffs, they're going to start resting their star goalie.
Yeah.
They don't want him to just get totally worn out and blow a fucking flat tire. You know what I mean? If you gotta throw out Louis Domingue out there a couple of times, that's what they're gonna do. So be aware of that, folks. Vasilevsky, 100% the number 1 goalie to take. No doubt about it. He is on one of the best teams. Had a great year last year. I don't think he's going to slow down unless he gets hurt. And if he does, and Domingue is taking all those starts,
let's not even talk about it, man.
I'm going to lose that bet if that happens. Okay. I'm going to act like I didn't say anything about that. You can even cut that out if you want to. You can totally take it out of the episode.
I don't even want to hear those words ever again.
Honestly, I don't either, because I like Vasilevsky. I like the Lightning. Like I said, consensus number 1. I don't think there's any doubt about it. So to finish off, guys, like we always say, tell us where we're wrong. Tell us where you would have had Carey Price. Is Carey Price in your top 10? If he is, then you're a fucking idiot. But if you want to tell us about why he is, then feel free. Where did you have Jonathan Quick? Why don't we have Matt Murray in the top 10? Why don't we have Jake Johnson, Jake Allen, or Martin Jones? You know what I mean? These are all players that are in our honorable mentions, but we didn't have in our top 10. If you think they should be, let us know why. Give us your top 10 and tell us if you agree with us on number 1 or if you have Vasilevsky somewhere else.
Yeah, I would love some outside input, because maybe there's just something that I completely overlooked. Definitely want to hear that from you guys. Fuck, I'm tired of shit. So that's it from us, guys. That is our top 10 goalie rankings of 2018. And like Zach was saying, man, hit us up on social media. Let us know what you guys were thinking. That is at FHF Hockey on both Twitter and Instagram. Be sure if you got the time enough, be sure if you have enough time that you get over to iTunes, leave us a review, and maybe tell some friends about us. But then again, till next time, guys, we love you.
Deuces. Love you.